Welcome to the Skincare Academy's Acne and Aging to Glow podcast. I am your host, Hayley Barnes, clinical acne naturopath, nutritionist, herbal medicine practitioner, and educator. I went from having acne myself for over 10 years to studying naturopathic medicine and not only treating the cause of my acne, but hundreds of women's acne in clinical practice, to now teaching skin therapists internationally how to treat the cause of their clients' acne in their skin clinics. On this podcast, you can expect to learn naturopathic acne treatments, internal skin support, science-based skin research, holistic skin fundamentals, and most importantly, how to become the leading acne skin health professional. I will also introduce you to the most influential industry professionals that I know along the way. Also, are you in my Facebook group? This is where I post tips, answer questions, and share my professional knowledge. This unique Facebook group is like no other, as each member is committed to treating the cause of acne internally in their skin clinic and becoming the best skin health professional they can be for their clients. These therapists are legit going to change how the skin beauty industry treats acne, and I'm so excited for you to join us. To find it, search Acne and Aging to Glow on Facebook or click on the direct link in the show notes below. Welcome to another episode of the Acne and Aging to Glow podcast. We are back, and today we have a special guest. Her name is Sisley, and she is North America's leading acne-focused registered holistic nutritionist, which is really exciting. Thank you for coming on today, Sisley.
Thanks for having me on, Hayley. And before we dive in, I just want to say I love what you're doing on the podcast and with your work. I wish I had someone like you when I was beginning my acne journey or even my nutrition journey. So I just love what you're doing. It's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much. That's so lovely to hear. And I am really excited to hear more about what you are doing, because you have programs, ebooks, amazing social channels reaching lots of people, thousands of women around the world, which is the power of the internet these days, isn't it? It's so amazing, with an online audience of over 80,000 plus. And I'm super excited to dive in today. We are going to have a real natural, chill chat. As we said before we recorded, we don't have any specific questions because I know my community love this kind of environment, and we do as well. So, Sisley, I'd love to know, and everybody would be, the same with my story. What is your acne story, and how did this all start, and how did you get into being a certified holistic nutritionist?
I think it's such a good question because I think anybody working in the acne space has had an acne journey, right? Like, we're here for the people because we've been where you are and we can relate on such a deep level. So I'm an acne prone girly, as it sounds like you were as well, dealing with acne for like 10 years. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
10 years, 10 grueling years, but I'll admit it because I can just, this happened to me. So you tell your.
Yeah, for sure. So you can relate when I say like being acne prone is not fun, but it teaches us a lot, right? It really humbles us and allows us to connect deeper to ourselves and our bodies. And for me, it really all started when I was younger. I've always had genetically acne prone skin. My father had really bad deep cystic acne into adulthood, and I never really thought twice about it. I was put on the pill at age 15, as many of us have been, and was on that for about 10 years, which ended up masking a lot of my skin concerns. I honestly didn't have a pimple for years. And as soon as I came off the birth control pill, I was at this place where I already had a really beautiful understanding of nutrition. I just kind of graduated from holistic nutrition school from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, and I transitioned myself off, and I was like, great, this is perfect, everything's good. But then I realized I started to get breakouts and I couldn't figure it out at that point in my life, like why I was having all these breakouts. I was eating so healthy. I just couldn't figure out the connection while my friends were eating whatever they wanted and like perfectly clear skin, right? So that's when I started to realize, okay, I think there's something deeper going on here. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to acne, there's usually two types of people, right? There's the people who are more genetically prone to acne and more people who it's more situational, right? So maybe you don't have that type of skin, but you come off the pill, you still get that rebound and you still experience post-pill acne, but then you're good for the rest of your life. Where there's some other people where we just are more susceptible to those breakouts depending on whatever our body is trying to tell us. So for me, over years and years, I had to really learn that whenever something was out of balance in my body, my skin would show up. And that has been the most beautiful gift I have ever received from my body because it's like my body's way of communicating with me, right?
And I think that's something that is my dharma or mission in life, when it comes down to it, is to support, educate, empower, nourish women to have that exact understanding that our bodies aren't there to fuck us around and, tear us apart and, bring us down. They're actually communicating. It's actually communicating with us. And I think that just unpacks a lot of anger, fear, resentment, stress, which does lead to cystic inflammation, which leads to more acne as well. So I love what you just said about, your body communicating with you, because I think that just unpacks a lot. And I know what it's like in the heat of it, because you're like, this is not, my body is not communicating with me because I'm trying to communicate back with it and it's just not working.
It's
um,
so true.
yeah, so
Yeah.
love that you've said that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on that because the amount of people that come to me and they're sitting there like, what am I doing wrong? Like I'm doing something wrong. I'm not doing enough of this or I'm doing too much of that. And I'm like, no, 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 like that's not causing your acne. There's something way deeper going on. It's your body's way of communicating with you. And you can see that light bulb switch, right? When people make that switch in their mind, they realize, oh my gosh, it's not actually my fault. It's not actually like the cleanser I'm using. There's so much more going on here. And that takes that pressure off, like you said, that anxiety, that fear. And it's such a beautiful place to be when we do make that connection, which took me a long time to get to, but I'm happy that I'm here now and that we're sharing this with the world. I think more people need to hear this message.
Yeah, I was going through some statistics the other day, and I think it was like 8% of the world's population still has acne. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of work for us to do collaboratively. And what I'm really big about is this education. Why isn't it taught in school? Why aren't we taught this? Why aren't we empowered? All for everybody making their own decisions. We're not here to, make decisions for people. We're here to educate them. Like, that's why I'm just like, why, how does that not work?
Yeah.
Like
So
algebra, I would never use that shit. Like, why didn't we talk about, post-pill acne or hormones or natural contraceptive methods or our body and how it wants to communicate with ourselves, blah, blah, blah.
it's so
Um,
true. And
yeah.
like so many people, I think, don't realize like the people that don't have acne or have never experienced acne, they don't understand the mindset toll that it really takes on people.
Oh,
And
so
so they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Just take a medication and you'll be sweet. Like you're good to go. Or like cut out dairy and you'll be good to go. Meanwhile, people are here like, experiencing like crippling anxiety and not being able to leave the house or go to the gym or go on the date. And like it's a huge issue. And unless you've had acne, you will never understand what that's like. And I think that's where there's a big disconnect happening.
yes, I feel like I become best friends with people and clients and even professionals in the industry, because I obviously teach skin therapists, dermal nurses how to treat acne internally, professionally, which is I'm absolutely loving doing that. But I feel like if you've had acne yourself, you get it, because just drink more water or you need to wash your face differently is just infuriating,
Yeah.
and isn't what's happening. And like, as we both know, we know it's a bigger sign than just something that's on your face as well. So you have that mental health connection, mind, body, skin, digestion, lymphatic drainage. It's like a massive thing for our bodies to end up with acne as the last elimination organ to basically go, hey, I'll help you out. You know, I was going to say something else about, oh, yeah, no. I just think what you said in regards, and that's why we started talking about this, is we are all human. And if you've had acne, you're in the crew, that, you know, we are all in this together. And it's very concerning that it's on the increase. Acne is on the increase. And I suppose, you know, you've mentioned you went on the oral contraceptive pill, a birth control, which people in the States or Canada we call OCP, oral contraceptive pill. Can you please explain what was your journey to going on that? Was it your mum? Like, how old were you when you got acne? Was it your mum who took you? You know, because a lot of professionals in the skin industry and even clients that come, I think it's still in our psyche that the doctor is the hierarchy in this situation. And unfortunately, they're not. In regards to treating acne. For saving people's lives, yes, but chronic health diseases, which I believe, you know, acne is a form of dis-ease in the body, doctors, GPs are not the specialists or the professionals in this case. So I'd love to hear you unpack that a little bit.
This is such a good question. No one's ever asked me this before, but it's such an important topic because I believe that women, especially, have been stripped of this. Like we haven't been given permission to trust our own bodies. We're relying on other people to tell us what is best for ourselves when intuitively we know when something is wrong, right? So the amount of women that go to their GP and they're like, something's not right. I don't feel good. My body is communicating with me. And they're like, oh no, it's fine. We'll just like put you on a different dose. So like it's normal. You're good to go. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like that's just stripping people of their innate intuition, which is so powerful for us that it is so sad that we're letting go of that. But yeah, I actually had a very, just like you were spot on with what you just said there, especially when you said, you know, doctors are just there to make sure we aren't dying, right? They're not there to make sure that we're like being proactive with our health or thriving, right? They're just there to make sure we aren't dying. And acne doesn't really fall under that, right? So for me, went to the doctor when I was like 15 years old. I'd already had a few years of menstruating. I got my period really early, which again could be a whole other podcast episode because getting your period at age 9 is not normal,
Oh,
right? And
no.
so, yeah, really young, which kind of was really tough for me from a young age. But a lot of women who go, as you know, to their GP at age 15, for example, some of them have only been menstruating for a couple of months or a year or like, you know, 1 month, right? And they get put on oral contraceptive. And your body has not communicated, like your brain has not communicated to your hormones yet. Like you haven't had those full first years of a natural hormonal cycle. And that is so scary when we get put on it at such a young age. And there was like no questions, right? So I was young. I made the decision to go in with my mom because I had a few pimples. You know, we were talking about, you know, you have a boyfriend now, might be best to get on some birth control. And it was just one of those like non-negotiables, or sorry, easy, like no questions asked things, right? Oh, you know, might as well just get on it now. Why not? Let's just do it. And the doctor was like, sure, let's get you on it. No problem. And, you know, I had no problems for a very long time, but little did I know the havoc it was wreaking on my digestive health, my microbiome health, my overall inflammation levels, my hormone issues. Like I came off the birth control pill with so many health issues that didn't even realize were happening for those like 10 years that I was on it. And that's what was missing, right? That's the missing piece is like, where was the support when I was on a medication like that? And why are people being put on something like this for acne when that's just a Band-Aid fix, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely. And where's the communication and the dialogue and the empowerment of when you're going to come off this medication, you know, or are you going to stay there? Oh, no, just come off before you want to get pregnant. Well, newsflash, that doesn't really work because the statistics of women that are really struggling with fertility issues after coming off the pill, synthetic hormones, is skyrocketing. So, I think, if I'm ever going to put someone on supplementation, there's always a treatment plan, there's always clear communication of what we need this to be at before we get you off. When we wean you off it, we want to support your body with food as medicine always to start with. That I don't know, that communication and, like you said, that empowerment of our innate intuition isn't there. And from a young girl, and this is what I was going to say before, but it went and now it's back. I always felt like something was wrong with me, like actually wrong with me. Like I was someone different in the world that had something wrong in my body, or I was scared, if I wouldn't be able to have kids, or if my hormones were right, or if why things weren't responding, and why was I so different. And I thought it was me against the world there for a bit. So I think just that mentality moving as a younger woman into womanhood is not ideal, and takes a lot of work to address and go through. And, not only is our work physically important, but it's so mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and energetically important as well.
Yeah, and just holding space for those women to be heard and understood, I think is like the most important thing that we're lacking. And to your point, like going through health issues and things like acne, like you said, is exhausting and can feel very isolating. But then you get thrown into like, oh, have to do all these like wellness practices just to keep up, where they feel like they're the only people in the world having to deal through this. And they're like, why are my friends not going through this? I feel so weird and so isolated. And, luckily we're in a place where wellness and taking care of yourself is cool and it's respected and it's awesome because people are realizing how good they feel, right?
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, they can still feel very isolated on this journey. So I think the more we can talk about it, the conversations that we can open, and the more people we get talking to each other and understanding this connection, the more we'll normalize taking care of ourselves and really, like you said, using food as medicine and having that communication with a practitioner is so important.
You cannot treat acne with skincare, facials, and treatments alone. It is as simple as that. You need to treat the cause of acne holistically to internally treat acne long term. You see, a lot of therapists I have spoken to have even thought about going back to uni to study nutrition or naturopathy, but the thought of paying over $70,000 in tuition fees and studying full time for 4 years is just too much for them to manage with their current workloads. I have been helping skin therapists and professionals just like yourself learn how to treat the cause of acne with nutrition, lifestyle modifications, herbal medicine, with great success. I have over 13 years' experience in the field of naturopathic medicine, and this is why I have created my signature step by step curriculum teaching therapists how to understand naturopathic clinical case taking skills, and how to treat the internal cause of acne. I love seeing therapists step into their role of a confident, holistic, internal, external acne specialist. My therapists, who are advanced acne to glow partner clinics, naturally show up online more confidently because they are able to talk the talk and also walk the walk. This is absolutely key in this industry for your business to be successful and for you to move forward in this field of treating acne holistically. You will learn how to heal your client's gut, balance their hormones, support liver detoxification processes, nourish their nervous system, provide lymphatic support, all using food as medicine and key naturopathic treatment modalities. The level of holistic treatment you will be able to provide to your clients will naturally attract higher quality and more aligned clientele to you, as you will be positioned as the holistic acne expert. This means more income, more long term results for your clients, more loyal clients, and more confidence in your ability to treat the cause of acne internally and externally. This is what I teach inside Advanced Acne to Glow, my step-by-step course teaching skin professionals how to treat the cause of acne internally in their skin clinics. No need to refer to a nutritionist, doctor, dermatologist anymore, leaving money and long-term results on the table. You can and you will achieve these results for your clients naturally yourself. Click the link in my show notes or in my Instagram bio to join Advanced Acne to Glow. If you would like to become the confident, holistic acne expert and help hundreds of clients achieve their dream skin and health goals. How does it work in Canada to become a certified holistic nutritionist? How does it work there?
So we have two private schools that focus on holistic nutrition. The conventional schooling system very much follows dietetics, which is more like, typical working in the hospital or working, with patients out of the hospital, for
People
example.
alive?
To keep them alive. Yeah. And I've, after hearing stories of people working with dietitians, I just, respect them. They're just doing what they can with the information they have, but it was not for me and it wasn't enough and it didn't feel right. I knew there was so much more going on than what they were recommending. And so I went to a private school called the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. It uses science-backed information and, we also bring in the mind, body, spirit, and, it's really very a holistic school. We're looking at everything. And it was amazing leaving that school. I really think everyone could benefit from something like that. But I'm not going to lie, I was not prepared for acne on this deep level when I graduated. I had to work so hard for the past 8 years of educating myself, taking external courses, understanding how to read lab work, blood work, really understanding acne on a deeper level takes so much more. And especially when you've dealt with it yourself, you can be your own guinea pig. And I think that's been the most amazing gift I could have ever received was dealing with this on my own, basically.
I laugh because when I was at Southern Cross University in Lismore near Byron Bay, excuse me, when I was studying herbal medicine and botany and pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, and pharmacognosy, I would try all the herbal medicines on myself. And I vomited. I had crazy nightmares. Obviously, I would not do this to any client, but I was the guinea pig and I was brutal. I get some clients that were like, oh, I just can't take a tablet. I was neck and back 7 tablets at once. I was shotting the strongest bitter. And I didn't, I know I was studying herbal medicine, but I didn't really know the power of it yet, to be honest. That's just honest, until I felt it and then I started seeing clients. But I took, all these bitters and I was I vomited and everything. So I get what it means. Obviously, we're guinea pigs as well with emotions and how that feels and dating and our confidence and how we, greet the world and everything like that. Guinea pigs and trying different strategies to kind of get around that. Because it's kind of I explain to clients, you are not you. You are going through a transition at the moment. And what you see in the mirror isn't going to be permanent. It's, and it's, I feel like I can talk to that because I've been through that myself. But I feel when I had acne, anyone who didn't have acne that I saw professionally, I just didn't give a shit what they said.
Totally. 100%. You don't get it, so I don't trust you. Yeah, as awful as that is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So obviously schooling was super important. And I think I know you preach this all the time, but if you're going to see someone or work with someone or be trained by someone, it's important that they have those credentials and that, you've said, they don't just take a weekend course or something. I see this way too often now. And then also they have that experience. So they have that clinical experience. Have they been working with clients for a long period of time? I think is also really important because that's going to show, what kind of work they really do in the world, basically.
Definitely.
And you're a good example of that.
Thank you. So are you, it's like a private college that you do for like 3 years, or how does it work with your,
Yeah.
I'm really interested in a lot of, we have lots of US and Canadian, but a lot of us are Australian. So we're like, interesting.
Yeah, so there's two schools. There's the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition and the integrative it's called IHN, Integrative Holistic School of Nutrition, I think it is. And those are the two Canadian schools. And you can either do the 1 year intensive or the 2 year part-time, basically. I did the intensive. I wanted to go full out. And I did it from a pretty young age. So I was like fully into it, full gung ho, loved every second of it. But it was really interesting. I actually wanted to pursue and go on to research more and learn more. But there were no options for me at the time. The only option was naturopathic school, which you had to then have like the 4 year degree to go into which I think you have, right? You did the 4 year and then the next 4 years.
Mhm.
And I also wanted to work online, which in Canada, there's a lot of restrictions around working online as a naturopath. And so there's a lot of limitations here, unfortunately, but the nutrition schools are beautiful and a great option for people because I think they're just so ingrained in traditional nutrition practices. They're not focusing on the fads, which I really like. And they're accessible for most people worldwide. So people would come from all around the world to come and study at these Canadian schools, which I think was really cool.
That's so cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that for everyone who is interested. Um, when we're talking about post-pill acne, as a holistic nutritionist, when a client comes to you and they're a bit scared, they don't know what to do, how to transition off, everyone's so scared, they're going to get post-pill acne, it's going to be the worst thing ever. And for some people it is, but you know, healing is not fun sometimes. What do you do nutrition wise? How do you support your clients? Yeah, maybe just talk to
Yeah.
that if you can, please.
For sure. And I think what you said with the fear aspect, it's so real. Like I talk to women, I talk to my friends every single day, and they're, a lot of them are at this stage in their life where they want to get off the pill because they don't feel good on it, right? Some of them want to come off for fertility reasons, or some people, it's not working for their skin. So whatever the reason is, they have this fear because they've heard the horror stories of people coming off and breaking out. And the first thing I like to say to people is that doesn't have to be you. And there is a way to safely support your body with this transition. And that's all it is. It's a journey and you can safely support yourself. And it doesn't have to be this overwhelming, scary thing. There are support options for you out there, which I think is important for every woman to hear, because I think at some point, most women will come off of it at some point in their lives. So from a nutrition perspective, I really do like to incorporate nutrition, supplementation, skincare, lifestyle, and mindset. I'm very holistic, but nutrition obviously is a really important part. And as food is either always fueling or starving acne or disease, right? And so we really like to take a look at what foods can we add in to support the skin versus what should we take out. There's so much misinformation all over the internet right now. I'm not sure if you've seen, but like the food fear is crazy. People are talking about like cutting out egg, sugar, dairy, gluten, seeds, I heard today, nuts, like all these food groups. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to take a chill pill and just focus on what we can add in, because it becomes so restrictive for people where they're all over the place and they feel like they can't eat anything and their acne just gets worse and it's terrifying, as you know.
Stressful.
So stressful. So I always like to say to my clients, let's focus on the foods we can add in. I think the first most important thing to look at when you're coming off of the pill, and I'm sure you probably very much agree with me on this, is looking at the liver, because the liver is going to be responsible for, filtering, metabolizing, and just really eliminating all those hormones. So there's some great ways that we can do this through food, through, bitter vegetables like arugula. I love radicchio, chop that up in your salad. I also love dandelion tea. That's a really good, easy one to, mix into your coffee or swap for your second cup of coffee. And then, vitamin C rich foods are really helpful. And then even just focusing on foods like that are really rich in fiber to really help that, metabolization of hormones. And also, we have to eliminate somehow. So fiber-rich foods like berries and, all kinds of fruits and vegetables are going to be helpful here. And I actually think most people aren't eating enough fruits and vegetables.
Mm.
Fruit specifically. I don't know if you probably don't see this in Oz because people love fruit in Oz.
Oh, I came across a little bit of it, like the fructose
Yeah.
stevia and all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
I read the other day on a blog post for people to stay away from ripe bananas if you have acne. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is again just like so much food fear over a whole food source, beautiful fruit, right? It's so sad. So I really try and encourage my clients, especially in North America, to be eating more fruit. Most people are not eating enough and they're just not getting that fiber for their beneficial gut bacteria. And what a lot of people don't connect as well is that your gut microbiome is going to be partially responsible for metabolizing that estrogen when you do come off the pill, right? So making sure that gut is really supported and you're eating all those fiber-rich foods to fuel those good gut bacteria is going to be just as important as like the liver support or the hormone support. I think that's a really easy place for a lot of people to start is just eating more fruits and vegetables is an easy one. Like replace your like snack bar or add in an apple when you have your chocolate at night. Like really focusing on what we can add into the diet, I think is a good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. And, this is what people can, that's why I love treating acne. This is what people can keep with them for the rest of their life. It's not just like there's so many positive side effects of doing this work and really treating the cause of acne and, having a holistic approach to supporting not only your skin, but your brain health. I listened to a podcast the other day and it was so interesting. And everyone is so focused on their skin. Obviously, I specialize in this area. And, then people are on their body and then, their hormones and things like that because they have a baby. And, nobody really supports because you can't see your brain and no one
Yeah.
really kind of goes there in regards to brain health. And this is definitely another podcast episode, but on the background, I'm working on an anti-aging course, which is super interesting. And yeah, hopefully I will release that, but I'm absolutely just selfishly loving building that and going into that and learning more about that. Because you can see your skin, but you can't see your brain and your brain health. One thing with the bananas, though, I found when I studied naturopathic medicine, I worked with a lot of osteopaths, and then I worked with a lot of acupuncturists when I went to Endeavour College of Natural Health, and they would teach me a lot about warm foods, damp foods, and things like that. And they said bananas are the worst thing for acne. If you have acne prone skin, bananas having that damp, moist energy is going to be the worst thing. So I'm just going to share that from my clinical experience. I'm just like, eat everything besides bananas.
Yeah, and I totally respect that if you have that in your practice. I think that's really cool. And we're always learning and always finding new information. So I love that.
And I think that's the cool thing about having this collaborative approach. And, like there's so much information from a TCM point of view, from a nutritionist point of view, from a naturopathic point of view, from a herbal medicine point of view. There's so many amazing therapists out there. Why do people still have acne? Like
Mhm.
it's something that, again, I believe comes back from, education. That's why I'm so into being a mentor and an educator at the moment. Yeah, interesting, because you mentioned at the start of the interview that you were like, oh, your mom's like, you may as well go on the pill, like if you're seeing boys or, you're getting to that age. So I think the whole sexual health and the conversation about that and safe forms of contraception and being empowered is something that probably acne professionals aren't talking about as much as what they probably should be, because if we look at the root cause of acne, which is different for each person, but then you look at how many people have been put on birth control, why have they put on birth control? They usually have never just been for acne. It's always sold as a bit of a bundle, like, well, it'll be safer for you because you're getting, into that age where you have boyfriends and you're usually a bit younger. So your mum's just like, yep, all right, let's do it. We don't want a teen pregnancy, you know? So I think that's something in itself that I do talk about in my courses for, skin therapists, dermal clinicians to have conversations with their clients, because women can get to 28 and not know how to support themselves and their contraception naturally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I see it in practice, and yeah. So do you come across that where people, it's that fear again, but how do you contribute to that root problem and, educating? Do you see more teen clients?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I see women of all ages, and I see this with everybody, is that fear of coming off and being like, what are my options? And, not only will I break out, but will I fall pregnant? And do I even want to fall pregnant right now? And then on the flip side, we have, I want to come off the pill. How soon am I going to be able to get pregnant? Like, I'm worried about my fertility. And there's just so much fear. And I think it really starts with having that conversation with people and just letting them know that they have these options and just making them aware of what they can utilize, for natural contraception, and also how to support their hormones naturally. And then also how to become in tune with your cycle. So a lot of women, especially in their younger teens, they don't understand that your body shows you signs when you're ovulating, or when you're in your luteal phase, this is why you're breaking out, and this is what's going on with your hormones. And when we start to educate them around their cycle, again, it's like this light bulb moment, right? Where they feel empowered, they feel excited. They're like, I got this. I don't have this fear anymore because I understand my body. And for the first time in their lives, they feel like they are connected to their bodies. And I will never forget this feeling after coming off of birth control after 10 years. And I remember there was this veil that was lifted off of my body. And I felt this connection that I'd never, ever felt in my entire life. And that's what I always like to tell my clients. I'm like, you're going to feel it. Just wait. So I think just giving them that options, right? As you said, having that discussion and just having another woman to woman being like, it's okay if you want to explore this with me and we can talk about it. And I might not necessarily have all the answers for you or know what is exactly perfect for you in your situation, but let's talk about it. And I think that's where it starts.
Mm. And having that trust once again in your body, because I remember when I got my period when I was 13, and then acne from when I was 13 onwards. But I remember being petrified. I thought that I could get pregnant every day of the week. All the doctors were telling me that. The sex ed people in school were telling me that. Everyone was just scaring the shit out of everyone. And yeah, I just remember being, and once I started learning and educating myself, be like, oh, ovulation. Oh, there's really only 2-3 days in a window where, you would be deemed as fertile and could fall pregnant. Oh, why is there so many infertility? It's not as easy
Yeah.
as what people think to get pregnant for some women, So I think those kind of moments, like the facts don't lie type of thing, and having that clear communication like you have with your clients, I have with mine, I have with the people that I teach. But also I feel like collectively, this generation of parents is having more conversations. A lot of people are like, the pill and Roaccutane and all of this. But when I really am an optimist, people are having better conversations in their households around sex education, the oral contraceptive pill. People are becoming more empowered by education. Yes, there's so much on the internet, and there it is terrible, but there is so much more empowerment for people to make their own decisions that I see from when I graduated in 2017 and started my clinic to now. Do you see that as well?
100%. And I think the biggest shift is seeing younger people want to take that initiative for their health. Like that's something I did not see when I was younger or when I graduated as well. Like it just wasn't happening, right? And I think also a big shift that I'm noticing, and also a conversation that I think isn't talked about enough as well, is like sometimes people don't want to come off the pill for certain reasons. And that I think is totally fair in itself as well, where like again, we want people to feel like they have options. If they feel like that's right for them for any specific reason, who am I to judge, right? But I think what is missing there is letting people know that they can still support their body when they're on the pill, right? And I think that people think, oh, I'll just get support when I come off. But there's so much you can do before that to really make sure you're doing everything you can, that we're building up that foundation, right? So that your body can at least thrive to the maximum capacity that it's capable of in that moment. I'm sure you see that a lot too.
Yeah, and that's where food as medicine and being a nutritionist thrives, because herbal medicine is contraindicated. When we're trying to dampen down estrogenic responses, when we're trying to bring up progesterone, when we're trying to work with the body and we just get flatlined with synthetic hormones wanting to switch off that part of the brain and that those hormones that do a dance every month, we are kind of like shut out.
Yeah.
That's a safety thing, for herbal medicine, prescribing herbal medicine. But herbal teas and nutrition, there is so much you can do with that. So that's where I love that you brought that up. Yes, nutrition can be amazing when people are on the pill. It can be amazing when you decide to come, if you decide, which most people will, if they want to have children or for whatever reason you want to treat the root cause of your acne. That you're already kind of doing the groundwork before you
Yeah.
come off.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like food is so smart. Like if you look at certain foods, they are literally like adaptogenic. Like they literally go in and they can support healthy hormone balance. Like if you look at like, soy products or flax seeds or sweet potatoes or pomegranate, like these are all have phytoestrogenic properties that can help kind of regulate estrogen levels in a very safe and healthy way, because we're not like mega dosing something, right? We're just eating real whole foods. And when we're eating a normal amount of real whole foods, your body knows what to do with it. And I think that's where like you said, it's like if we can just bring that up when you come off, it makes the transition so much smoother.
And like which Japanese and so many other cultures have been doing for centuries. So we can
Yeah.
learn so much, from other cultures, and looking at nutrition and long case studies, and kind of working out what's going to be the best for our clients, and bridging on that science-based research over many years of double-blind clinical trials. This isn't just stuff that we're just reading some hippie book that we did at some group class or something. Like estrogenic, supporting the liver, and this is all amazing and does work and will work if you believe it works as well, because I think that's something that the mind and the body does do a little bit of a dance there for a bit, in you really believing that you can treat your acne and that this does work, and it's not just fluffy nutrition. Like when you really understand that food is medicine, and what you actually put in your mouth right now turns into the cells, which turns into your skin.
Mhm.
I feel like you've got someone there for life that will really be on the nourishing yourself bandwagon.
100%. And I love what you said about the mind. I've been loving watching neuroscientists talk about how the mind works with like your everyday habits. And it's just so interesting when you hear it kind of like almost in a dumbed down way, because I don't really know much about neuroscience, right? Obviously, that wasn't part of my practice, but I do talk a lot about mindset, and I do see it all the time in my practice. Those who are, more, affirmative in the fact that they believe that their acne will clear, the quicker it actually does clear, because they're bringing that stress down. But I love hearing those like neuroscientists talk about that connection. And I think we're like at the tip of the iceberg here. I think we are going to learn so much more in the coming years about that mind body connection. Like, even if you look up the research that's come out over the past 10 years about the mind gut connection, the mind gut skin connection, like that even in itself is fascinating and not talked about enough. So I think with the like main thing I want to get across with acne is a lot of people just think, oh, I just need to switch my skincare, or I just need to like, stop eating dairy, when really listen to like everything we just said in this podcast. There are hundreds of things that you can do to support your skin from an internal perspective. And it can be fun and not overwhelming, and like not just support your skin, but so many other areas of your life and your body.
Yes, girl, that is so good. And I love what you said about fun, because my thing is I actually love skincare. I love doing all the creams.
Girl therapy.
Yes, like my friend and I call it hot girl shit. She's another naturopath, and we do like, it's meant to be a fun time for women to really love on themselves. It's not just like fucking hell, it's another cream. Is this even going to work? Like that's what the mindset that I used to have putting on my face. Or I'm just like, if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm actually going to do with my life. It can be really serious for people. People just look at someone putting on skincare, but all these like million thoughts going through an acne client's head in regards to, skincare and like food being so delicious that you can eat your way to having clear skin, and it can be really yummy. My trick was like, if you eat something, I don't know, like ice cream or whatever, conventional ice cream, and then you make your own ice cream, or you make something that's really yummy, like a raw dessert or something like that, filled with, nutrient dense food. And you end up just liking that food more than the other food anyway, because it tastes better. That's when I'm just like, yes, we're going to have more of that. That's the energy that we want, because that's going to be a habit that you're going to want to go to for the rest of your life. And that can happen and will happen with the support of a nutritionist, someone who can work with you. It's a red flag if you work with someone and they're like, this is the foods that we, want you to go on. This is the foods we don't want you to go on. See you
Yeah.
later. All the best. Peace out.
Nothing makes me angrier than that. I just can't with that. I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But having
yeah.
a healthy relationship is so important with your skin, with your food, or else whatever you're doing, it's not going to work. You're just going to be constantly stressed. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, like the other day, and it depends on the season as well. It depends on your mood, depends on who you're around. If you want to cook, sometimes I used to be in the mentality like I'm too busy to cook, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, hey, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a naturopath as well. Why am I doing that? Like, so there's so many modern day rushing woman syndromes that we can go through as well. And it really takes, unfortunately, something like acne or a health scare with women's fertility to really prioritize financially and from a time point of view, nourishing ourselves with the right food.
Mhm.
And that's something that I see a lot as well. Like the other day, I made my own hummus. That was like the thing of the day. I wanted to make my own hummus. It's not something that I do. I don't really do anything every day that I'm just like,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. People are like, what's the treatment? What do I need? What did I got to do? What if I do tick, 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 then I'll
Yeah.
cure my acne? And it's like, well, it doesn't really work like that, because we're all different.
You have to find your flow. You have to find like, some people are so obsessed when they follow my protocol. They're like, should I make this drink every single day? And like, should I have it at a certain time? And I'm like, do you even like it? And they're like, oh, not really. I actually prefer this. And I'm like, okay, then make that and have that and enjoy it and have fun with it and like really enjoy the process. Like that's part of the reason that you're healing, is like having fun and enjoying it. Like I don't need to force something down that you're not even enjoying. Yeah. So it's all about finding what works for you. I completely agree.
And people have questions, and that's where we can be amazing. And we are amazing because we can give them that reassurance. Yes, I probably, maybe try something else. We can do this. This is still going to have the best effect for you. 'Cause people are like, I don't care. I just want to eat whatever until I clear my acne. And like you said, are you enjoying it? Because when I was
Yeah.
studying, there was a lecturer of mine, David Castellet, and he has a background in psychology. He's got a background in nursing, and he's a naturopath. And he was kind of hardcore, and I was kind of scared of him at the start.
I would
um,
be too.
yeah, but then I grew to love him. Um, he went on and on. Like everybody would talk about gut-brain connection, homocysteine, NAC, and liver, phase 1, 2, and da 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 da, all this stuff. And he just always came back to the nervous system. Treat the nervous system first, and then everything else will follow. And that's something that's always kind of just stuck with me. Obviously, everyone's different, but like you said, when you look at brain, skin, gut, when you look at brain, gut, it's always to do with the nervous system. And when you look at stress and how busy people are, it's no surprise that that is on the increase, as well as acne. Not saying that you can just be a hippie and just not have any stress and not get acne, because you still can. But I think that the driving factor that I've seen in clinical practice and that I support my therapists is to have those conversations about stress management and stress support from a really, I don't want to say serious point of view, like, just be mindful and work out what you need to do. Do you need to journal? Do you need to, like, I think we need to give people the science and give it to them straight, and kind of leave the fluffy stuff up to them to work out on their own, and really plant the seed for them with the science, and then let them work out on their own terms how important it is for them to change what they need to in their life. Because so many people have just been like, you need to color in, or you need, and I'm like, that's it, that's what's going to help me, coloring in. And then you're just like, you do it and you're like, nope, didn't help. So you can find your, try it all on and work out what's best for you. But I think, once again, coming back to the education, okay, this is why, this part of your brain isn't connecting to your ovaries, because of this cortisol response. And, this is what we're going to do. And then people are like, number one, they need to understand that connection, don't they? To get them on board to actually get on the treatments and things like that. So segueing, but stress, the nervous system is massive.
Yeah. And like you said, when people hear that connection, like when they learn about that connection, intuitively, I think a lot of women will know exactly what needs to change in their life. Like I always ask them, like, intuitively, is there any areas of your life where you feel like you could use a bit more nourishment or support? And they usually say, like, oh yeah, I go to bed pretty late, and like, I don't really walk as much as I should be, and I spend too much time on my phone. Like they know, right, what's going to work for them and what they need to do. And at the end of the day, we just need to feel safe in order to heal. And I think hearing that as a woman can feel very liberating. Like, you just need to feel safe. Let's get your body out of this constant fight or flight. And that can feel very grounding.
And I love that you said that. I know I keep saying, I love you said that. I love you said, but I really do, because it just sparks things off with me. People go on their phones to feel safe.
Yeah.
Like, even I've done it myself. I've like come home, or I've had lots of client, or I'm doing whatever. And I'm like, I just want to just go on my phone and just, I know I'm going to get see some funny stuff. I'm going to see some cute stuff. I'm just like,
Dopamine.
I'm just going to get some hits, and this is my safe cocoon. And then I'll be able to like go deal with what I need to deal with. So I think, like you said, realizing that we can be safe and we are safe in certain environments. What are those environments? What do I go to make me feel safe? And kind of just making that a conscious practice, because I didn't really stop and realize that until I had conversations and became really honest with myself. I thought it was just entertainment, and that's how it's sold to us. But in the end, it's kind of just like what makes me feel safe and calm and happy and entertained, which is what us humans used to do with play. We used to play. We used to be like, let's meet up and let's play in the street. Let's go somewhere. Let's play. So I think that's something that I'm working on myself. And, I love to be able to support more play in people's life, which sounds counterproductive when, you have acne. But I believe the reverse psychology of it will
Mhm.
keep acne away in the long term, because acne isn't just something like you can just say goodbye to it forever. It's a constant practice, it's a constant lifestyle. That's why our work is so productive and we do get the best results, because it's long term.
100%. Completely agree.
Yeah. Um, what are the biggest acne mistakes that you see people making, other than, taking on birth control, if we want to call that a mistake or a learning point for people, or it's up to them what they want to do. What do you see in regards to nutrition? You've talked about people like, wanting to strip out things from their diet. You've talked about adding in. What are some
Mhm.
of the biggest kind of mistakes that you see?
I think the biggest one is that people put so much pressure on themselves to try and figure it out on their own, where, at the end of the day, they're not acne professionals or nutrition or naturopath professionals. Like they have there's so much information out there now that it can be very helpful. And I do still have people come up to me in the street being like, I've never bought any of your guides, but like everything you post on Instagram I've implemented and it's like healed my acne. And like that's really beautiful that we do have resources out there where people can take initiative. But then there's the flip side where people get so overwhelmed and feel like they need to be doing everything. And one of the biggest things that I see is people buying a new skincare product or a new supplement every week. And they're like, oh, maybe this will fix my acne. Let me just add this into my routine. And it usually makes it worse. It's usually overwhelming to the system. And I'm sure as a naturopath, you can align with this when I say that blindly supplementing can be so detrimental to health and acne. And I hear this all the time with clients who say, oh, my friend recommended that I take maca or that I take, I don't know, whatever. And I'm like, but what qualification did your friend have? And does it even match up with what you're going through? Like, it's like recommending a medication. Like, it doesn't work for everybody. Right. And so I see this all the time where I'm like, let's just reel it in a little bit and like start from a blank slate.
Yeah, and it can be dangerous, like, like, oh, let's add chlorophyll in. It's like, well, what does your liver
Why?
look like? That's what throw fuel on a fire right now, like there's so many. That's an awesome point that you've brought up, that yeah, people do put a lot of stress on themselves to make it on their own and kind of beat themselves up when they don't, because I think they do know that they do have their intuition and they know what's going to be good for them in regards to what foods they like. But there is a strategy and a treatment plan and a step-by-step kind of way of doing it. You can still
Mhm.
do it in a fun way, but like you said, being qualified. People study this for years to work out. Look at us, So I think that's a great point that you've brought up.
For sure. And like you said, with nutrition, like there's so much people can do on their own because, like we talked about before, it is more gentle. And when you're looking at like whole food, organic sources of foods, like an apple or, a piece of grass-fed steak, like these foods are nature and they are designed for our body to heal. And so when we implement basic nutrition practices, like not only is this helping you long term, but it's very empowering to do that on your own time and kind of cut out the noise of everything else. But when you want to take it a step further, that's where it is really important to seek out the advice of a professional, in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but that's what I would say.
What is your opinion about vegan diets and treating acne?
So I was vegan for a very long time. And this is actually how I kind of got into the blogging world to begin with, was I latched on to veganism because it felt like I could control my diet without making up excuses for why I didn't want to eat something because it made me feel sick. So this was in the early stages of my
Wow. I've
health
never had it
issues.
explained but like that.
Yeah, so it was like a full, like, I don't want to say it was disordered eating, but like in a way it was because I had control over what I was putting in my body. So I'd just be like, oh, I'm vegan and gluten free. Like, no, thank you. And what happened was I learned as my own guinea pig that I was slowly deteriorating, even though I was following a perfect plant-based diet and I was a nutritionist at the time. And so I was like, what am I doing wrong? This makes no sense. And that's when I was kind of partway through my program and I started to learn about methylation. And I started to learn about how like literally half of the world can't methylate properly and can't convert these plant-based, B vitamins and energy into like usable energy. And I think that so many people put this pressure on themselves to be vegan and make it work for them when like their iron levels are consistently low, their B12 is consistently low. And like, yeah, you could just take a supplement, but like, do you really want your body to be just getting by, or do you want to actually take a look at why we aren't thriving? So I really wanted to make a vegan diet work. I thought it was so cool. I loved it. I was like, plants, yay. But from my personal experience, after integrating more quality animal protein back into my diet and then seeing what it did to my plant-based clients, like when they started to eat animal proteins, it was like, wow, like night and day. Their cycles came back, their skin was glowing, like, and it was all about just looking at the quality of food versus like this fear mongering we had around animal protein in general, where there's like, this could be a whole other podcast episode, but in my experience, I think integrating quality animal protein has been one of the best things that a lot of my clients could have done for themselves.
Definitely. And I don't want to say bad diet, but I think there is so many different phases that come through over the years. I was taught at uni all of the bads or things that were kind of going through that my supervisors and professors were coming across in their clinic days. And then obviously, we've had ours. But really, it does come back to having a plant focused diet and eating more plants and having good quality sources of grass fed, grass finished, wild caught, sustainable sources of protein and plant protein. Just because you eat, so it's really about having that collaborative approach to nutrition and not being set in your way. And I do think in one way, like, being vegan or being whatever attached to a certain name, people do feel like, oh, I'm in a community now. People get me. I feel, because we all want to be loved. We all want to be a part of a community. We all want to know that we're being supported and that we're not alone. So I think, people need to address that as well.
I literally lost friends when I stopped being vegan, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because I made me realize like, why did those people actually want to be friends with me?
Yeah.
Right? Was it because of me or because of my diet? And so like you said, asking yourself like, why am I part of this community, and do I want to make sure that I'm aligned with people that like me for me and not just the way that I eat or the way that I look?
And am I being open-minded with this journey? Like, what does my body actually want? What are the facts saying, which has been showed by science, researched, and, you can't fight the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you've mentioned, people still do want to eliminate eggs, dairy, gluten, sugar, all these types of things because, they have been victimized in certain ways. Fats have been victimized, and sugar has, won the Grammy Awards of nutrition for the last, however many years. What do you like to say to your clients when they come to you about that? They're like, I'm doing all the, because a lot of people are doing, like, they're eating
Yeah.
really well. I'm just like, well, there's just a few more changes that we need to make, and that's about it. So what do you like to say about people that are like, I'm going off eggs, I'm going off dairy, I'm going off it all?
I can say that if you are experiencing flare-ups when you eat a certain food like eggs, like dairy, whatever it may be, just know that it has nothing to do with the food itself. It has everything to do with what's going on in your gut and with your inflammation levels, right? So like again, this could be a whole other podcast episode, but people always like to blame the food, where I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at what's actually going on inside your body. Why are you not reacting well to this food? And what is the quality of this food? Like maybe you're just reacting to like the pesticides in this food or the way that it was made or processed or whatever, right? Especially in North America, it is a crazy problem in the States. I see with my American clients, the glyphosate, the pesticide issues, like it is night and day between like my European clients and my American clients. So, again, whole other topic, as you probably as you know. But I would say what I like to do with my clients is we're really just more focused on like what's the root cause of your acne and not why is this food like triggering it. We're more like, well, let's like start to heal the gut and start to, support your microbiome health and everything. And then from there we can talk about maybe let's start swapping out the quality of certain things. And like, why was this other thing a trigger in the past? Like, why were conventional eggs a trigger for you, but why aren't pasture raised eggs a trigger for you? And just like educating them on helping them understand that real whole food sources should not trigger your acne. Like they just shouldn't, as a majority generalization. And I'm sure you agree with that like we need to stop this food fear mongering because it is getting out of hand.
Yeah. The only thing I don't agree is with the dairy, but everything with eggs, gluten, sugar, I believe that, you can eat those foods when it works for you with the right food, in the best possible nutrient dense form. Sugar, there's so many natural sugars, there's so many different sweeteners that aren't going to really curb your blood glucose levels and really increase more sebum and blah, blah, blah. It's about educating and not going, I'm never going to eat that again, because that's not that fun. We're meant to have fun in this life as well. So, having acne clients that are robust and resilient, that they can have a little bit of, coconut sugar or whatever, and not break out is where we want to be. That's a sign of health. Having eggs and enjoying them. I've got an egg story. I went off eggs, couldn't eat eggs, and then that was a methylation thing. That's the thing. I knew what it was. Lots of people don't know what it was, and I'm like, I'm not going to come back to eggs. I just need to do a little bit more liver work,
Yeah.
and introduce them. And then I was like, I can eat them again.
Yeah.
And it's even like if I start to get symptoms from eating eggs again, I'm like, whoa, okay, let's back it up. What's happening?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So having that, like we talked at, and this is a great way to kind of wrap up this interview, is having that innate connection and conversation with yourself, and learning about education in regards to treating acne and becoming the best thriving version of yourself, because that's what we're here to do. And the ultimate epiphany of health is having fun and playing and enjoying. Like, I think it's so interesting. We're all like want to be so healthy and we want to, be the best or whatever. But what actually does that mean? Like, what is your goals? Like, for me, being healthy means like having energy and being able to do what I love and playing and have energy to dance or do whatever I want, when I want, how I want, having that freedom, not being held back by anything. That's the biggest motivator for me. So I think on this journey of acne, find what's your biggest motivator other than just having no acne. And that's what's really going to drive you for the rest of your life, to be and live, this life.
So well said. That was so beautiful. I loved every second of what you just said.
It just came out of me. That's why I don't do the questions. I don't do questions because I don't know. I just can't do the questions. But this chat that we've had has just been so amazing, like on fire. I'm loving vibing with you. I'm loving getting to meet you online. Maybe one day I might meet you in Australia when you come back here. Is there anything that you want to say to finish up, and last things that you'd like to say or share? And
Yeah, for sure. I think I'd like to say for anyone who's out there currently struggling with acne, just know that you're not alone. There are so many women who are going through exactly what you're going through. Like you said, you named a statistic in the earlier of the podcast. I know there's about Yeah, and there's about like 50 million Americans who are currently struggling with acne every year. Like that's a massive amount of people. So you're not alone. Let's keep the conversation going. My inbox is always open for DMs if you have any questions. I'm always here. And just yeah, know that you're not alone. You can find me over at the pure life underscore on Instagram if you want to chat.
Lovely. And we will put all Sisley's information about her Instagram and her website in the show notes underneath where you'll be watching this, so you can jump on there and chat. We're going to be sharing a little reel that's kind of like a highlight. So I'll post that on mine and Cicely's going to post that on hers. So you'll be able to click on that and know exactly where, because we'll be tagged in that. So you can, jump on that as well. Once again, lovely. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for reaching out, and it's been such a pleasure getting to meet you, and I hope this definitely isn't the end. I hope we can collaborate more and connect and learn. It's all about connecting, and I feel like how cool would it be if there was like an international acne community of holistic therapists, and we could get together and have like symposiums and talk and da, 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 da. How cool would that be?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it definitely needs to happen. And I don't know about you, but I go to a lot of the beauty conferences, the dermatological conferences here in Australia, and I'm the only naturopath there. So I feel really privileged, but I also feel like, okay, there's a lot of work for me to do, which I'm really striving towards doing and filling that industry. Because that is another podcast episodes in regards to the skin and beauty industry, and how we can make a difference there, because a lot of acne clients do go to their skin therapist, their beautician, the corneotherapist, their esthetician first for their acne. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done there. So watch this space, everyone.
Thanks for having me, Hayley. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Sisley. Take care. Thank you for listening, and I invite you to check out my Instagram. Let me know what resonated with you from this episode. And if you have any questions, you can find me at skincare_academy_. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you, meeting you, and I hope you have the most amazing day. And I cannot wait to see you again.